Good morning for whatever morning this is, September 30, I think. This is our weekly devotional. I call it The Danger of Normal. I was reading an article by Andre Peterson. She's a journalist for World Magazine, and she wrote that return to normal was Warden G. Harding's 1920 presidential campaign slogan. And I was thinking, gosh, talk about a no vision slogan. I mean, I can't believe that was it. And yet he won huge. He won big because World War I wasn't that far behind them. Neither was the flu pandemic of 1918, which killed a third of the Earth's population. And there were 675,000 deaths in the United States. I don't know how many people lived here back then, but it was huge. Anyway, people, because of World War I, because of the pandemic, people just wanted normal, and he won by a huge margin. I think we all just want normal. But really, it's a lousy vision. We need something better than whatever our normal was before COVID and this crazy year started. It's time we really need to love God and love others and look beyond what we had in 2019. And my daughter Amanda works at Camp Peniel. I talk about it off and on, where I used to work back in my early college days. And it's named after this odd passage in Genesis. The name it, Peniel itself, actually means the face of God. It's a Hebrew word. But it's there that Jacob wrestles with this angel. And in the end of this wrestling match, he names the place Peniel because he says, I've seen God face to face. And the cool thing is, at the end, two different things happen. Well, three things happen to Jacob. One, he's called Israel from then on. Secondly, he's blessed gives a special blessing. And then third, he walks with a limp. And there was all that to say, there was no going back for Jacob. There was no going back to before he wrestled with God. He's wrestled with God. Everything has changed. So not only is he blessed and is called Israel, but Jacob also walks with a limp. Everything's changed for him. So he's got the same, wife and kids and house, but life will never be the same. We shouldn't go back to normal. We need to love God. We need to love our neighbors as ourselves, and that's got to be number one. And it's been cool, I think, the way a number of folks around the church have gotten connected with their neighbors, with even family and friends that had been a little distant. They've pulled back together. We get to do a backyard wedding here, so I've connected with other neighbors. The church, through our outreach team, and Sandra specifically, have connected with the neighbors around the church, and they're connecting now with the sermons. And I don't want to go back to what we were exactly before COVID. I mean, it'd be nice to be in the building at times again, but I don't want to lose a connection with the neighborhood. We just finished a 5-week study in Jonah. And of course, Jonah had a normal before going to Nineveh. He was a racist evangelist, racist prophet, whatever he was. And that was his norm. And then he goes through the issue of the fish, and then he has this great revival. But after the revival, what does he do? He goes back to his old normal. He goes right back to being a racist, to hating the Ninevites, and being frustrated with their repentance. And so then God uses, the gourd and the worm to bring Jonah to a new place. And Jonah ends up not only loving God, but loving his neighbors. And he's buried in a tomb there in Nineveh in honor for going to those people. We shouldn't go back. I know it's been a tough year. We've had a pandemic and wearing masks, not wearing masks, working from home, impeachment, schooling from home, presidential election, all that in, about half a year, a little more. That's not common. Things are changing. But that's good because God's getting us out of who we were, and he's getting us out into the neighborhood. I don't know about you. I think about sometimes, especially when we go through our Good Friday services, I think about where the disciples were, especially on Saturday when Jesus he's died and he's in the tomb, and they're just there. They've given their last 3 years to this guy, hoping he's going to kill Romans and bring in the kingdom, not understanding that the first phase of the kingdom is going to be this kingdom in our hearts, this invincible kingdom. And and everything seems to have fallen apart. And so, what do? Well, they try to go back to the old normal. John 21, verse 3, Simon Peter says, uh, I'm going fishing. And the rest of the disciples just say, we'll come too, they all said. So they go out in the boat, but they caught nothing all night. And I love the next verse. It says, at dawn, Jesus was standing on the beach. So Jesus is standing on our beach. It's okay. I don't know what your past is like. It's okay to walk with a limp. It's okay if we have a Jonah kind of past. It doesn't matter. It's time to go catch fish. We don't need to go back. Jesus is on the beach. It's time to love God and our neighbors. It's time to make that new normal. Andy Stanley has a saying, pain without gain would be a shame. And we're not going back to the old normal. We've got a new one. Thanks so much. Thanks for joining us this Wednesday. Bye-bye.